Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. I don't expect everybody who watches this video to know what I'm talking about right off rip, but about a month ago, I made a video talking about Concord and how much of a catastrophe in the making the game was. It's quite literally in the title, and I talk about how the game that even there is some redeeming qualities about the game, it's not going to sell very well, and it'll probably end up resulting in many layoffs for Firewalk Studios, who's currently developing Concord. And the reason why I said that the game was going to fail immensely is because the game is only available on Steam, PlayStation 5, and it's $40 USD. I almost forgot to mention that there's 117 countries that don't have access to this game. All of that is already bad enough, but I want to talk about some stuff that came out over the weekend regarding a developer of Concord. And even though I walked into this game's existence with very little knowledge of what it was and then left with a somewhat compassionate understanding that these guys don't need to lose their jobs because of this bad game, I have now pretty much switched my stance on the entire situation. I want to talk about everything that this dumbass fucking dev has said to anybody who's willing to reply to him on Twitter. And I just overall want to tell you guys what I think about the game and where I think it's going to go probably by the end of Q2 of 2025. So if you want to listen to what I have to say, please stick around for that. But before we get into it, make sure you hit that like and sub button for more content like this. This video is also brought to you by Level Up Apparel. Use code LVLUP10, Level Up 10 for 10% off any order over $20. Tap into the mosh pit, socials down below. Okay, let's get into it. I came into this a little bit hot with a preconceived notion that everyone knows what Concord is, but if you don't know what it is, let me go ahead and explain it. Concord is a 5v5 first-person hero shooter that takes elements of mainly Overwatch and Destiny 2, puts them together in a giant melting pot, takes a fat-ass shit in it, and lets everything combine together. Then they somehow manage to digitally render it and send it out on PlayStation and Steam. This game actually started being developed back in 2016 by a studio named Probably Monsters. Then in 2018, for reasons I can't look up, Firewalk Studios then took over development for Concord. They slowly start to develop this game over time, and then in 2023, Sony hops on and is now the official publisher of this title. Again, for many reasons unknown. My speculation is that these guys were needing to fill up another slot for a 2024 release. They seen this game, they knew that they could buy the developers out at a pretty low price, and they were like, you know what, fuck it, I guess we'll publish the game. Now that I got the people who don't know about Concord caught up to speed, let's go ahead and continue talking about this game. August 23rd of 2024, Concord finally makes its highly anticipated debut to an overwhelming amount of people playing the game day one. As you can clearly see right here on the screen, this game did not break over 700 players on PC, which says a lot more about this than what you actually think it might. Because if only 600 people are willing to pay $40 for this game on PC, mind you, what does that say about how bad it's doing on PlayStation? And listen, I would love to be able to tell you guys how bad this game is doing on console, but I can't find a website that's reporting the player numbers for PS5. Let me go ahead and give you a little bit more backstory, and then we'll get into the tweets in question. So Insider Gaming released something on Twitter that said Concord's launch is worse than expected, and then there's a link that goes to their website that talks about pretty much everything that went wrong with this game's release. And I make a comment saying, of course it did. The horribly out-of-touch executives at Sony thought a $40 hero shooter that lacked depth and variety was going to crush it in a market that is so oversaturated and has better alternatives for free. It's a fucking embarrassment. I feel so bad for Firewalk because they got brought on to make this game by Sony, and Lord knows Sony is gonna nuke that studio. Well, at the time, that is what I believed to be true. I thought that Sony had brought Firewalk on to finish the development of this game. That is apparently not the case, and I apologize for spreading that type of misinformation, but the screenshot that I did have attached to it shows that there was only 186 people in the game whenever the game launched on Steam. Shortly after making that tweet, there was someone in the comments section who said, LOL, imagine lying, and then they posted that there were 643 people, almost its all-time peak player count, mind you, in the comments, and was trying to make it seem like I was trying to slander the game. And then with the quickness, I had to ruin this guy's social media career. Then about 3 or 4 hours after I posted this tweet, I get a comment on it saying, don't feel sorry, the devs hate you. One called a fan who had an opinion a talentless freak, and I immediately was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But thankfully they provided a screenshot. Now this is where a lot of the compassion and the sympathy that I had for Firewalk Studios started fizzling out, because if you're a developer and you say this type of shit to people, you need to just get the fuck out of the game development space. One of the developers who identified themselves as a developer by the name of Anim Xander posted on Twitter saying, and I'm so honored to have had this be my first AAA game. Was a huge learning experience, lots of struggles, but I'm glad to have gone through them. Time to go play. Then one of the replies to this tweet said, I'm so sorry that this has to be your first. I do not believe it is you or any of the other devs' fault that this game has performed so poorly. I can tell that a lot of time and effort was put into completing this game. It just came at the wrong time and genre. And with this little comment right here, I do agree on some of the things that they're saying. It's technically not their fault that the game is performing so bad, and the game did come out at the wrong time in the wrong genre. And then you guys remember Anim Xander, right? They just have to pop off and say, I don't really care. It was a huge labor from a lot of insanely talented people making an awesome game. Why would I care about a bunch of talentless freaks hating on it? I'm sure having fun playing it, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. You're calling people who may have had a slight interest in your game that after looking at how much it's gonna cost decided, you know what, never mind, it's not worth my time. You're gonna call those guys talentless freaks? You're gonna call people like me and anybody else who covered this game a talentless freak because we don't agree with the fact that this game is 40 USD, $40 USD, around $50 Canadian. You're selling us a hero shooter experience that is linear as fuck, my guy, and you had a hand in creating this shit. If anything, you should be mad at the fact that the game is not doing well, not just kind of dismissing it and being like, hey, you know, it is what it is. I don't really care. It's fun for me. Hey, buddy, let me tell you something right now. Fuck you. How about that? Fuck you. And again, like I said earlier, anybody who carries that same mentality as you. Don't be mad at us, the content creators, for covering this game and not liking it. Don't be mad at us, the consumer, for sitting here and not liking what you guys have presented. Be mad at PlayStation Publishing. Be mad at your fucking selves for making a game like this. Be mad at whatever obstacles may have came in y'all's way that have caused this game to not get released up until just recently. If this game were released during the early days of the pandemic, this would be a totally different situation. You know it, I know it, the entire internet knows it. But with a budget that was millions of dollars deep into development for Concord, you would think that they would come up with a better concept than this shit right here, but they didn't. You would think that the advertising would be a lot better than what it was, but it wasn't. And you would definitely think that they would be able to get the game out the door sooner with a big budget like that, but they didn't. They fumbled the goddamn bag, and now they're mad at us for it. That doesn't make any damn sense. I have been a game critic for a few years now. I have seen developers absolutely lose their shit whenever a game that they spent time and money on developing does not go well. But you usually see that in smaller studios that release into early access and they have some sort of drama wrapped around them. It's just that I can understand being upset by. Of course, with that being said, the games are usually obviously very fucking shitty, and there's really no way to get around it other than saying, hey dude, this game's bad. Like nobody wants to play this. They get upset, they get in their feels, and then they move on about their day. But a developer who had the opportunity to work on a game like this that had Sony publishing it, and you want to call the people who don't want to play the game, who said that the game is bad, a talentless freak because you enjoyed your experience with it. Kiss my ass. Kiss my whole goddamn ass. It really honestly just gets better from there, because anybody who was trying to reply to that tweet and say something towards this damn developer, they were getting their tweets hidden by this guy. And then he was immediately replying saying, pay me $8 to unhide your tweet. Pay me $8 to unhide your reply. Pay me $8 to unhide your tweet. So let me get this straight. You're gonna be upset by the fact that nobody wants to play Concord. You're gonna be upset by the fact that people are saying that this game deserves to die. You're gonna go ahead and silence any sort of criticism that these people have, and then immediately reply saying, hey, if you give me money, I'll let people know that you talk shit about the game. Are you out of your goddamn mind? Now, if we clear out all the smoke and mirrors and cut it down to brass tacks, this developer is actually an entrepreneur. And I gotta say, it's a really bold move when you as a developer are saying this shit, when you're working for a company that is under more fire than half the state of California. And you know what? I hope they get that $8. I hope people are dumb enough to pay this person $8 per unhide, because Lord knows they're gonna need every bit of money that they can get, especially after Firewalk fires their ass and they're unable to get another job in the video game industry. I know they're currently working at PUBG Studios. I don't suspect that lasting very much longer. To wrap things up here, because I've been going on long enough, this is how I see Concord going. Here in probably the next 30 to 60 days, we're gonna see the game go on sale, probably up to 50% off so they can get more players in. They're gonna fail to pull in enough players to somehow financially recover from it. Move forward about 3 to 6 months later, the game is gonna go free to play. Again, it's gonna bring in a couple thousand people, but nothing anything that's going to help them out as far as checkbooks are concerned. Player numbers are going to die off. We're going to see this thing hit low triple digits like it did when it first came out, maybe even double digits by the end of it all. And then by the end of Q2 of 2025, they're going to announce the game's getting pulled offline. In the beginning, I felt bad for these guys because I seen what Sony has done before, and I just knew that these guys were being walked right into a death chamber. Now that I have more knowledge and more wisdom on the situation, I am easily here to tell you guys that I no longer have passion or sympathy for 90% of Firewalk Studios. The 10% I'm reserving for the guys out there who just are trying to make it in the gaming industry, who are trying to feed their families, who are trying to do the best that they can. I feel sympathy for those guys and I wish them nothing but the best in their game dev career. But for motherfuckers like this who are on social media running their goddamn mouth at people because they are upset that a game that they helped develop isn't doing well, first things first, fuck you. Still, it'll always be that until they find my skeleton encased in stone about 1,000,000 years from now. And the fact that Firewalk hasn't even came out to address anything that's going on with people talking shit from their dev team, guys, just wrap it up. Just wrap it up. Shut it the hell down. Cut to the chase. Sony initiated the kill shot. Just go sit in the corner and bleed out. I almost don't want to ask what you guys feel about Concord because the statements are pretty clear. But if you just want to sit here and tell me how much you hate the damn game or that you're not even surprised that the game is failing, go ahead and do so in the comment section below. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit that like button, that sub button, and smash that notification bell for more content like this. And as always, my name is Redbeard Mortis. Speak loud, speak the truth, and I will see you in the next one.